This is how to spend time alone for beginners, especially my anxious girlies. What I'm about to tell you is everything I did a couple of years ago now to become really confident spending time alone, whether that was like in my own home or going to the movies, going shopping, going on dates with myself. And long story short, it's the method that has allowed me to fully move to the other side of the world. I'm from the United States. I now live in Indonesia, which is in Southeast Asia, which is on the other side of the planet. I moved here alone. I didn't know anyone. I didn't know anything. And it's now been over 2 years that I am living and like actually thriving. I have amazing friends. I've made friends. I love my alone time. I don't have really bad anxiety anymore, especially not social anxiety. Everything that I'm about to tell you is the small steps I took to feel more comfortable being alone as someone who used to be super anxious and like never wanted to leave the house and was just really insecure, like just worried about what people were thinking about me and about what I looked like and if like I did the smallest thing wrong in public, like that people were going to judge me. I just had so much social anxiety that I never did so many things that I wanted to do in my life, something as small as going to the movies and seeing a movie I wanted to see because I didn't want to do it alone. So it's not the way I wanted to live my life. I didn't want to wait around for somebody else to do it with me, especially because I didn't have people in my life at the time that wanted to do the same things as me. And so spending time alone, again, whether it's in your own home, whether it's traveling, whether it's just daily life, doing fun things with yourself or doing small things, errands that need to get done, it doesn't need to be scary. It doesn't need to make you insecure. It doesn't need to be overwhelming. However, I know that it maybe feels that way, and that's so valid. It's just a skill that you need to learn. And so I'm going to teach you that specific skill. And I really want you to have this because when you are comfortable spending time with yourself, not only do you get to have more life experiences, but you also just get to know yourself better. And so you get to have a more fulfilling but also peaceful life because you show up for yourself, you have more fun, you learn about yourself and what you like to do and what you don't like to do, and you have a lot of confidence because you know that you don't need somebody else or a group of people behind you in order to be bold, to get out into the world, in order to live your life. So I'm going to keep this super simple because it shouldn't feel overwhelming. I'm someone that gets overwhelmed easily, or at least I did a lot in the past until I had tools like this. And I'm going to teach you this staircase tool that really allowed me to change my perspective on how I spend time alone and reframe it in a way that wasn't so scary, wasn't so overwhelming. And I obviously made so many changes because of it, because now I solo travel to different countries and I literally moved to a different country. I mean, I'll leave it at that. But anyway, so I am an artist. Please don't be overwhelmed by how incredible my art is. So I drew this picture for you. I hope you can see it. It's a staircase. It might be backwards when the camera films this, but this is our staircase to what I call solo self-care, but spending more time alone. And as you can see with my beautiful art, I've put a star at the top where I wrote Bali. I'll explain that. And I put what's supposed to be like the pin emoji on iPhone, but it kind of looks like a person with no arms and legs, but that's our pin of where we're at right now. And so we have this staircase. We've got some blank spots we're going to fill in, and this is how we spend time alone. So at the very top of your staircase, which you can sketch out for yourself or just visualize, I'll show you mine. I have a pen, I'll write on mine. I wrote Bali. That's where I am now. That's where I've lived for over 2 years. And I moved here alone. So as far as spending time alone, moving to the other side of the planet on my own is like pretty high up there on achievements when it comes to spending time alone, also in general. But if that sounds like super out of reach, but it's something that you would want to do or something that's similar to what you would want to do, maybe you just want to travel more or you want to live in a different country, or it's just the level of intensity of something that you want to do, it doesn't matter. You don't need to have the same goals or dreams as mine. The whole point of the top of the staircase and me putting Bali and you putting whatever you put around this star is that you put the biggest goal you have for your alone time. Like, what is the biggest thing you could do that feels out of your comfort zone that you actually want to do? And write it down or speak it out loud or write it in a note in your phone just to get it out into the world. Like, we're just word vomiting, getting it out of your brain and into existence. Doesn't mean you have to do it. Doesn't mean that I'm going to make you do it right now. We're not even going to take steps towards that right now. I just want you to put that there, and we're going to come back to it in a bit. So, at the top of our staircase, we have Bali. We're going to come fill in these steps in a bit that get us from where we are now to where we want to be, and I'm going to explain 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 major ways that you can do that. And then I'm going to tell you exactly what to put in those spots. So, the first thing that makes spending time alone so much easier is reframing it. When I spent time alone and I didn't like it in the past, it was because I had this story that like spending time alone means that no one wants to be around me. Like, I'm alone because no one wanted to hang out with me, or everybody would rather be hanging out with somebody else, or when I didn't have a partner, I'd be like, nobody loves me, nobody wants to be with me, all of this stuff. However, that's not true. You're very lovable. You have a lot to offer this world, as do I. Let's reframe spending time alone as a punishment or something to be ashamed of, as a gift. And I'll give you a little perspective. If you haven't experienced this already, then have some gratitude, because you don't have the luxury of spending time alone if you don't have time off work, or if you have people that depend on you, like children or parents that you take care of, or other people that you take care of. Spending time alone is a luxury. And I know that it doesn't always feel that way, but if we choose to look at it as a privilege and then as an opportunity to spend time with ourselves, it helps us bring a little bit more gratitude, which cuts out some of the negativity. So that's the first thing we want to do, is reframe from alone time being a punishment to it being a privilege. And it doesn't mean that you shouldn't feel uncomfortable, that you're ungrateful if you don't love spending time alone. That's not what I'm saying at all. Please feel the discomfort of being lonely. That's such an important part of this. But start to shift your perspective into being excited for, or at least more neutral towards the fact that you're going to be spending some time alone. The second thing that I want you to do is redefine what spending time alone has to look like. And this is where we start to fill in the steps on our staircase, the activities we're going to do. A lot of times, alone time is like, oh, that's my cry time. That's my time to sit and stare at a wall and think about how no one loves me. That's my time to be bored. That's my time to not know what to do. That's my time to feel really negative and sad. Let's pick some things that make us feel excited. Like, going to the movies alone was my thing when I first started doing this, because I was dating someone who did not want to watch the same movies as me and was super stubborn. Do you know how exciting it is to see a movie like a classic rom-com chick flick and know that you're gonna go, 100% of the group, because you're 100% of the group, is going to want the snacks that you want, is going to want to sit where you want to sit, is going to want to see the same movie as you, is going to think the same parts are funny. You're 100% of the party. And so you get to make 100% of the decisions, feel 100% of the joy, and control 100% of the experience. So, we love spending time alone for that reason, and it doesn't have to be this like sulky, sad time. Let's reframe what alone time looks like away from misery, sadness, boredom, into things that we start to get excited for. So mine was going to the movies, or like going out to meals. The person I was dating hated spicy food. I would go get spicy food. These are your opportunities to do the things that you love. I didn't have any friends that loved hiking as much as I did, but I love hiking as much as I do. If I'm 100% of the party, we can go on any hike we want, and start generating a list of activities that you can do because you're spending time alone, that you can fully enjoy or fully control the experience of because you're spending time alone. And this also fuels into shifting our time alone reframe from punishment to opportunity. Now, while we're at it, third thing we're gonna do is like, let's romanticize the fuck out of that alone time, right? So, romanticizing doesn't have to mean like making it romantic, like between you and a partner. It can just mean seeing like all of the dreamy, magical, beautiful moments. So, if I'm on that hike alone, I'm noticing all of the romantic pieces of it, or the dreamy or magical or beautiful parts of it. Maybe it's the sound of birds that you can probably hear in the background of this video. Maybe it's that you put on a cute little outfit that you feel good in and you feel good for yourself. You know, you're taking yourself on this little hiking date. You get to choose your outfit and show up for yourself. Maybe it's the view at the top. Maybe it's the color of the clouds as you're driving home at golden hour. Romanticize the hell out of it and choose what you notice. We don't take accountability and responsibility for the fact that we have so much control over what we notice and what our mindset is in this world. So tune into that romanticization, into that art of noticing, and shift from noticing the things that don't feel good. However, we do want to acknowledge those, but the things that like you aren't satisfied with, like traffic or the person that keeps sneezing in the movie theater or that the hike was hard or whatever it is, and romanticize. Let's shift into those feelings because they feel really good and they make the experience a little bit more enjoyable. And it also strengthens your gratitude muscles and your positivity in life in general and just lets you have a happier, healthier life. So, amazing life skill to have. Then, the last thing I want you to do to make this so much better and easier is to notice and acknowledge the discomfort that comes up. Like, if you're watching this being like, I don't want to do this stuff, fair enough. Fair enough. That's discomfort. And discomfort is a non negotiable part of making any change in your life. Let me say that again. Discomfort is a non negotiable part of making any change in your life. You want to get stronger at the gym? You're going to feel the discomfort of sore muscles and having to push yourself to get there or do hard stuff. You want to get a new degree? You're going to feel the discomfort of taking really hard exams and stressing that you're not going to pass. You want to be in a new relationship? You're going to have to feel the discomfort of how confronting dating can be. All of these experiences can also be beautiful. If you want to spend more time alone and you want to enjoy that time alone, you need to sit in the discomfort of feeling lonely, of feeling self-conscious, of feeling confused or unsure of what the future holds. Discomfort does not mean that you're doing something wrong. It just means that you're out of your comfort zone. And discomfort often comes up in the forms of like insecurity and anxiety. The best way to release anxiety in this kind of situation is to listen to it and not live by it, but just hear it, hold space for it. If the anxiety is coming up of like, oh my God, everyone's looking at you like alone in line at the movie theater thinking that you're a loser. Okay, I hear you. That doesn't sound great, so let's reframe that thought. But where does this come from? Let's sit with that thought, sit for that with that discomfort, that uncomfortable thought for a second. Okay, this probably comes from like feeling like a loser in middle school and not having a lot of friends and people making fun of me for not having a lot of friends and eating lunch alone a lot of times. I hear that piece of me. I love that piece of me. I support that piece of me. I send her all of the love, appreciation, and acceptance she needs. And I also recognize that that's not my reality and not how I want to think today. Notice that discomfort, sit in that discomfort, and when you do that, it sees itself out. So, those are the four main things that we need to do. Now that we've done that, let's go back to our staircase and fill in some of these spots. So, like I told you, I put Bali, moving to a different country, making new friends, running my business online, which is coaching business. I have consultations in the description of every video so that you can learn how to be confident and free and have strong self-esteem and body confidence, and book that free consultation with me always. Click the link. That's Bali for me. That's like the top, the best of the best when it comes to sitting in the discomfort of spending more time alone and using alone time as a skill. But before we got there, we had all of these steps along the way. I heard this amazing quote once from a financial podcast for women, and it said something like, investing is just a staircase, like it's one step at a time. However, the first step is 5 feet tall. And so it means that starting this process is the hardest part, but once you do that, just focus on the baby steps. And that's all you need to do in order to succeed. So, first, biggest step of this is simply recognizing that you want to spend more time alone, sitting in that anxiety the first couple times, the first 10 times, the first 100 times, however much it takes, but it gets easier every time, I promise. This was me going to meals alone, and then I started going to the movies alone, and then I started going on trips alone, just within the US, and then I started going on longer trips, and then I moved in the US, and then I moved countries, and I said I was only, ooh, get out of here. I said I was only going to do it for a few months. I think I said 3 months in Bali, and then I'd backpack for 3 months and come home. And now it's been 2 years. That's my staircase. Step after step after step, but not being like, oh my God, I need to move to Bali and be happy there immediately and live there forever. So on my staircase, what I would put as like the first step that felt scary, even though it's not necessarily in itself huge, would be something like walks. Like literally just walking out my front door and going on a walk alone. Super small, right? But maybe that makes you anxious as hell. Figure out what the lowest barrier to entry is. And what I'm gonna put under this, I can't write and talk, is that you don't need to put pressure on yourself to break patterns or make changes all at once. If you need to go on walks with friends first, you can do that. Nobody's gonna shame you or judge you for not doing this perfectly. Get comfortable going on walks with friends first. Start with activities that you usually do with friends, so you're already comfy with, and then start doing them with just one friend, or just your dog, or alone, but for a short amount of time, and then alone for a longer amount of time. You see the staircase, how we build up? So maybe I started with walks. And then I think meals were easier than like the movies for me, but I think I'm gonna put them on the same tier. I actually sometimes did both. Like I would eat and then go to the movies. No, I would movies and then eat because I wanted that popcorn first and then I would have dinner. But maybe that's my next step. Now, the thing that you need to know is that we don't go from here to here until we're ready. We have all of our lives. We do not need to rush. We do not need to put ourselves on a timeline that feels unsafe. You do want to get out of your comfort zone. You do want to challenge yourself, but you don't want to shame yourself and you don't want to overwhelm yourself. So, one baby step at a time, let that be enough, let that be good enough, and then we move on to this next tier or this next step when we're ready. Maybe when we're really comfy going to the movies on our own, we start doing those hikes, if you like hiking. Otherwise, it might be something else for you. Or I'm even going to put on here solo trip, but short. This is going off the example of my own life where the thing that I wanted to do was move to a different country alone. So, short solo trips. This was like me going away for like 2 days, going on a hike, or like an overnight. And then it became longer trips. And then it became weeks away. And then it became months, and then it became years. So, after we become comfy with that next step, then we go put our little arrows here. We go one more step. And maybe for me, that was backpacking. I'm going to put it in quotes because I was never meant to be a backpacker. I like my stuff. I've backpacked to Bali and never left. That was literally the first stop. And I've traveled a lot since, but I'm not a backpacker. I don't want to live out of a little suitcase. But now we have backpacking. And look how far we've come. From going on walks alone to backpacking to Southeast Asia. And then all of a sudden, I'm in Bali. You're in Bali, babe. It's crazy. It doesn't need to be complicated. In my opinion, it actually should be simple. I got a question recently more about like wellness habits, but someone said to me, like, can I be consistent or can I see results even if I can't follow a traditional wellness routine? And I was like, babe, the traditional or typical wellness routine doesn't exist. Yeah, there's things that we collectively experience, but for the most part, we just receive so many messages about how we're supposed to be and who we're supposed to be, when in reality, the world is so big. I'm now surrounded by people from all over the world every single day. Like, I have such an understanding for broken English or accents that I never thought I would understand before, so that I can communicate with people. And it's a beautiful thing, but the world is so big. This generation is different than any generation that's come before it, and that's true for every generation. The world is always changing. It's crazy to think that you need to follow this exact blueprint that someone else has laid out for you. When you build a staircase, whether it's for fitness or nutrition or self-care or spending time alone or travel or career or relationships and dating or friendships, you decide for yourself what your path is. And that allows you to take an individualized approach that's true to you and therefore doesn't burn you out, doesn't overwhelm you, doesn't make you feel like, oh my God, there must be more to life. Is this really it? While still getting out of your comfort zone and living a life that fills your cup up and has direction, like you feel confident in because you know you're moving forward. So that is how we spend time alone for beginners. We build our staircase, and I'm serious, write it down and read it out. Screenshot it, make it your phone background, build the most simple thing, but it's just one step at a time. And then reframe what alone time looks like. It doesn't have to be boring and miserable. Romanticize the hell out of it. Make it something that you actually enjoy. Start really small and low stakes, like just going on a walk with friends, with your dog, and then alone, and allow yourself to sit in that discomfort. Discomfort is uncomfy. It's uncomfy. I'm not saying sit in the discomfort and love it. Take that pressure off yourself, but just start getting more comfortable with sitting in the discomfort. Discomfort is like boiling water in a pot. It stops being water and starts being steam. That's the discomfort going to comfort. So like when it becomes comfort, you stop noticing it. It's not that you get rid of the discomfort. It's that it changes forms and it becomes something that you just know how to handle. That's self-trust. That's getting out of your comfort zone. That's doing new things without knowing exactly what the future holds. And that's my 10 cents, my 2 cents, whatever you want to say, on how to completely change your fucking life just on going on a walk on your own. I'm Sarah, I post a new video every week. I have that consultation link in the description if you want to learn from me. I do private coaching, group coaching, follow me on social media, all of that fun stuff. But book the consultation if you want to talk more about this, and leave in the comments what you're going to do first to build that staircase and start getting out of your comfort zone. But I love you. I'll see you next time.